Hi everybody, it's Nell Thames from Stamp with Nell. I am live on Facebook tonight. We're going to do a card making class. We're actually going to make this card. We have changed up some of our lighting. We've changed up our lighting. We've changed up our camera. We have made everything, we hope, pretty. And so if you have any feedback about the lighting, I do see there it's a bit on the shadowy side. So it is a fun fold though, and it is, you know, can you see that? There you go. So all right, so we're just going to get started. We'll work on any issues afterwards. I'm hoping it's not too dark. It's funny because I'm sitting in, I bet you it's this that's making it dark. I'm sitting in a darkened room with about 4 lights around my 6-foot table. So, okay. Keep going. So anyway, here's what we're using today. We are using Encircled in Nature, the bundle. So these are this is the stamp set, and the dies are probably, yes, they're over there where I left them as I was frantically trying to cut some pieces before we started, so I didn't have to die cut on camera. I still will have to do a die cut, but this circle out here will have to be die cut, but that's quicker than trying to die cut 3 things at the same time. Is that today? Yeah, it is. Okay, so this card I learned at an online event I went to last weekend, and Anne Marie Heil was the demonstrator who showed it off. So can you switch me to the one that doesn't have the host code? Yeah. So let's get started. I have already done, I think I have done all of the cutting. I did realize as I was doing the cutting that I left off a dimension or a cardstock cut. Oh, let me show you my second before I do this. I want to show you the other version that I did. This one is with the little latte or lot of love, little latte, the one that's coming up March 5th. And thank you, Mary. I appreciate your input. And by the way, I'm sorry about your injury. This poor thing. I feel bad. I was just watching your video from yesterday where you were talking about going to do the hay today, and ouch. So anyway, so this is another version of this card. Okay, Mary can see it, right? Yeah, she can see it. She's right there. Anyway, okay, moving on. Now we are going to get to the scoring. This is a piece of copper clay, and it is cut at, I'm very crooked. It is cut at 10 3/4 inches long by 5.5 inches high, and that is to accommodate for the folds for the fun folds. So these instructions are on my blog. I will update them as soon as this live is done to include I'll bet you are, to include the ones that I missed. I missed the side pieces for the DSP. There's always something, right? Okay, this is 1 1/4, and then 2 1/4, and then 3 1/4. Now, I would like to say it's the same over here, but that's not quite true. You could turn this around and do exactly the same thing. 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4. But I did write the instructions so that you didn't have to turn them around. So this is 7 1/2, 8 1/2, and 9 1/2. Now I panicked a little bit the first time I made this on my own after I watched the demonstrations, because this front flap is bigger than the inside flaps, and I realized, of course, that was intentional, and it should be, since it's 1 1/4 inches big. These two are 1 1/4, and these two are 1. So let me grab my bone folder. Let's see, we'll do this one. I have a few of those. Do you have anything where you have a few of them? Somebody was posted about scissors. I think even Mary was talking about it the other day. I folded that wrong. Let's see, let's start this way. So this one needs to be a mountain fold so that it faces outwards. So we'll start there, and then we'll turn this one this way, and then we're going to turn this, Oh no, I did it right the first time. Hello, never mind. Never mind, it's still a mountain fold, but yeah, that worked. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? I see this is why I started on the inside, because it made more sense to me that way. And then I got myself all confused. So folding in, folding out, and folding in, because this is I've seen it called a bridge fun fold. That's what they called it at the retreat, or yeah, the retreat. So it's going to look like this, and it will pop up like this, of course. All right. So now, one thing I did do when I wrote the instructions, I wrote them so this focal point was slightly smaller. It'll be a little bit more challenged to get this circle on there, but I wanted more of the DSP to show on the sides. So we're just gonna have to, we're gonna go with it. So here's a little trick for these DSP. If you didn't understand when you read my instructions on my blog, or what I did on my blog, when I talk about making this even with the inside, well, first of all, I should maybe line it up and put my good dimensions there. So what I mean is that this is going to be even here, and it's going to be even here with an even, yes, you have something that you have many things of, like D blocks. We talked about that last time. I have many bone folders now. And I have a couple of silicone mats. And the thing I have a lot of is, it seems to be scissors. I have a lot of scissors. And, of course, the D blocks. I just have a ton of D blocks. Here we go. I'm not doing... It's kind of hard to see my gray against the... This is Pebbled Path, this one in the back. Oh, I didn't tell you that this is the Traditions of St. Nick paper. So it is still a paper that you can buy, and it's dimensionals. Oh, that reminds me. Thanks for reminding me, Mary. I didn't get my dimensionals out. And I may or may not need many of them. So if you still have the Traditions of St. Nick paper, which I loved, it is still an active and buyable paper. You can still purchase it. Buyable, purchase. Yes. And unlike the paper that I used last week, I swore that By the Bay was still active. I would be very wrong about that. It was not. So, use any pretty paper you have, but this one is, oh, Pixie, why? Every single time. Mary, I'm sending Pixie to you. She can maybe, get you a drink, some water or something if you're down for the count. Okay. So again, now this time I'm going to go to this side. Okay, I'm just going to put it on this way because I can see it better this way. And it is, I think it's really dark, Mary. You don't think it's too dark?
I brightened it up some.
Okay. All right, so I want this, I want the DSP and the cardstock to come right to the edge of my bridge fold. So I'm going to use Clearly liquid glue on the back. And, I believe that you should make the little squigglies, but you do you, because that's just how I like to put on my liquid glue. I don't, I know some people are able to put it on in just a square and leave the center open, and I cannot fathom that. To me, it's impossible to adhere it all the way. Okay, so now we're going to look at this, and this is what, this is what this looks like. Now we have a centerpiece. Oh, I started talking about the, see, here's the Traditions of St. Nick, and then the B side, which I thought, it's hard to call it the B side, because the B side means it wasn't, your first choice. And for Christmas, this is maybe not my first choice, but for the rest of the year, and there's 12 more months, or 11 months, not 12 months. What's going bad? Never mind, I'm not looking. This is what happens. David's over there working, and he's clicking on things, and I see things pop up a little bit, and then, yeah. So this piece of paper, this piece of cardstock is, I don't know what, because I put the instructions away. All right, let's bring it out. So this is the Pebbled Path. This one is 4 by 5 1/4. And then the DSP for the inside, I called this the front inside, is 3 3/4 by 5. So, and of course, all of these are already on the blog. Just add in a 1 inch by 5 inch strip of DSP for the, yeah, 1 inch by 5 and 1/8, I think. I don't know. Yeah, no. Yeah, 1 inch by 5 and 1/8 inches for the inside piece here. Okay, and so then the idea is that it folds in like this, and it kind of carries it along. I didn't do an excellent job of layering that. I should have paid more attention to that, but I was talking and reading instructions. Okay, so that piece is done for now. So we're going to move on and move over here. Just move this out of the way. We're going to bring out the Encircled in Nature. And I just got this. So I looked at the front and I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't look as big as I thought it was. And then Pixie's not, man, she's mad at me. And then I saw that it says images are at 75%. So that would be why it does not look as big as I expected it, because it is in fact bigger than that. So now let me find my big block, because I have a really big block for this one. This is the E block, and this may not even be big enough. It's barely big enough, to be quite honest. And since it's a circle, normally I would just diagonal it and it would fit well. But I just need to make sure that the branches got on my block, so when I push them down, they're good to go. I'm sure this is the one I use, because. And I am doing my darndest to not get ink all over my block. I have a tendency to push kind of hard, and then it gets on all over my stamp and all over the edge of my block, and you know how that goes. Now, because this is smaller than I had originally used, I am going to move this over much further, much closer to the edge, but it really won't matter, because the truth of the matter is it fills the entire square. Okay, so, and this also, I don't want this up at the top or anywhere where anyone's going to see it. There's an opening here, and so I want that over here where my trees are going to go. So I am just going to apply slight pressure now. And I have a tendency, if I don't use two hands on this block, because a little bit of the big A word, arthritis. I have a tendency to drop it. So if you have a stamp positioning tool, this would be a good use for it. Now, David's going to have to sing the embossing song while I go and, not embossing, the cutting song, while I go cut this. And so there is a little notch here, which is, actually, this goes this way. There's a little notch here, and I am putting this into there's little divots for the branches, so I'm just trying to get this in as best I can. And over here, I have some of the nice little rolled Post-it notes. And to my knowledge, I mean, this is where I think it fits best. This is going to go right here. This little notch goes in this open area. I think, in my opinion, it's a placeholder. So, okay. Now I'm going to allow Mary and David to talk amongst themselves while I cut this up. And it didn't sound like any talking occurred. What the heck, you two? Okay, so let me, excuse me, I'm going to need a drink of water in just a second. So I'm going to pull this out. I think this is pretty cool looking. And so you'll see in my little bin that I have over here, I have a couple of these because I've made a couple of these cards. So I'm going to save these for something else because I think it's pretty cool. The only thing, it does have a little divot in it, but I could certainly turn it over. But I like that side. So, excuse me. Okay, so that's that. Now, I have this second piece that is exactly the same size as the first piece. Yes, it is. I swear it is. There we go. This piece is slightly wider than it is tall. So if I turn it this way, you see that I have the wrong dimensions. Excuse me. Let me take a drink of water. Well, to be quite honest, not water, it's coffee. But, we're drinking it anyway. And I lost my pencil. Here's my pencil. So I recommended that you make just some light pencil lines here, nothing big, just to give me an idea of where I need to put my, so just really light. Where am I going to put my inside forest? Pardon me. Okay, my inside forest is going to be Old Olive. Before I lose this, I'm going to put it up on my magnet. If you don't have one of those, I got one on Etsy, and I highly recommend. I'll show you the one that I have. I actually have two. I have one that's a coffee cup, but we don't need to talk about this. But what I'm talking about is this. This is a magnet, and so when I'm done with my die, if I don't put it away right away, I throw it there. This is also a magnet, so I can throw it in here too, depending on the size. Those are kind of big, so I just put them there. I realize that's not what you're here for, but you know what? Tips and tricks and all the fun stuff, it's good to know. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. All right. So I am just going to, you see I line this up here next to this. I don't necessarily care if I go way over here, but I just don't want it to be totally out in left field. Oh, man, I put that on there. Oh, Jessie. All right, bringing out another D block, maybe. I can't remember if this fits. No. So excuse my inky fingers. We're just going to move this over here. Okay. All right, so this must have some really big stamps on it because this E block is normally everything fits in a D block. Okay, so I am going to Old Olive this. Now, there are two things that that you could do here. Oh, no, not on this one. Never mind. Ignore me. Just completely ignore me. I have a whole bunch of daubers, and all of my daubers are named with the color. I just put a little tag on it. And so I am going to just add a little bit of Mossy Meadow to this stamp in no specific place, but I am going to close the Old Olive or it will be everywhere. Not really in anywhere specific. I'm just trying to add a little bit of depth of color. I may or may not get it, but it makes me feel better that I tried. Okay. So now you see my lines again. Here's my pencil line. So I'm going to get as close to my pencil lines as I can so that you get to see as much of my forest and my Mossy Meadow daubering as you can. All right, and we'll take this off. Okay, there we go. I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I do anything with it, and there we go. Because I want to erase those. It probably doesn't matter because they're right at the edge of my branches, but so now you'll notice that since I made this, since I gave the dimensions a little bit smaller than what I used before, that this will be, this is going to be a tighter fit than my other one. But that's okay because it still fits well. We're not going to worry about the fit at all. Okay, we're going to move this off to the side along with this. Okay, getting that ink off the fingers. Okay, so before I go anywhere, because I made this mistake when I made it the first time, I need to stamp my sun and my moon and my stars, which may be still hiding in the stamp case. So David, as I was preparing, I got distracted before the live. I made a card, and that was not scheduled on my schedule today. And so as I'm absolutely going crazy trying to get the last few cuts done, and I don't want this full strength, so typically when I'm creating it, I just decide where do I like it, 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to go with 2, so I'll stamp off one more time. Well, I probably needed that. That's why I had it there, huh? You know, sometimes I amaze myself in my planning aheadness, and sometimes I don't. Okay, and David said to me, "You really aren't prepared today, are you?" So, you know, I am prepared. Do you see? We're doing well. Okay. Okay, so now I have that done. In fact, like I said, I did not do that last time. I had to end up stamping that after the card was already made because I knew I wanted it there. And so now we are going to be able to, let's put this together. We'll just leave it together. We're not going to glue it together yet. But I have my little cut out old olive trees. And once again, I probably have enough mossy meadow on here, so I'm just going to, just because I'm sure I am not a coloring artist. I wish I was. We have many coloring artists on our team. I'm not, but in my mind, I just want to darken it a little bit. I'm sure there's a method to that madness, but I'm not madness, but there's a method to that. I just don't know what the method is, and therefore I don't, I may not do it right. Okay, so this is where this is going. So it's a little bit over from, I'm just going to get it, and I could, I still have room. I could let it hang over a little bit. In fact, we're going to do that because that's what I want. And then I do have this little teeny set of trees, right here. And these came from the Encircled in Nature dies. Here's this one. Well, you can't really see, but here's this one. It's kind of big. And then I have this other little one here. It's right here. And so I called them in the blog. I think I called one a 3 and one a 5. That is exactly what they are. One thing I recommend is little teeny dots of glue, because if you get too much glue, then, we are going to stick these together, so it probably doesn't matter a ton. But because I didn't necessarily want them to stick to the inside stamped trees. In fact, it wouldn't. I probably, maybe this time I'll put dimensionals there. No, not today. I don't want to make it different than the other card, but I might suggest dimensionals for this just to give this a little bit more. I don't know how it would stick well. I'm talking to myself. I'm so sorry. This is what happens. David one time was working on a project, and he was definitely talking to himself. And I'm not concerned that these line up perfectly. I'm not concerned that they overlap. They do overlap on my sample, but they don't need to. I could even overlap like this, but I'm not going to because I want to push this over here. But he was working on a project, and he was having an entire conversation with himself. And I just, you know what? We all do it because, we talk to ourselves because we want excellent advice. And so this big one, I know, hello? Something just fell out there. This big one I know is going to go totally on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to put it there. And what is he doing? I think the dog wants some attention. I think he's knocking things off of, is there food out there? I think he's knocking things off of David's table because I keep hearing like, what do they call them? The remote controls for the TVs. Remember the old days when the remote control was one thing? It was just a person. It was your child. You, in fact, were the remote control for your parents. Yeah, well, nowadays, that's not true anymore. Now you need 14 darn remotes to turn on your television. So I'm going to put this block on here because I put so little glue. I just want it to hold together for a little bit. Anyway. Okay, so that's that piece of that. And then I grabbed here they are, the little silver sequins. That's what they're called, right? Oh, it's on the front. Loose silver sequins. So not adhesive based or adhesive backed. And I'm working to get done in 6 minutes, y'all. So it didn't work so well last time, but I'm almost done, I think. Okay, so I'm going to take these, and now I can take this off, I think. And these are not self-adhesive, so they need a little dot of glue. I find that for my purposes, it's best to put the glue down first, or the way that I do it.
If I might interrupt, if you're watching on YouTube right now, we're sorry we got a very late start. We will post the recording after the event is closed.
Darn it, YouTube.
Sorry about the inconvenience. We're still learning how to make the YouTube work.
Yeah, YouTube is my nemesis. We thought with this new updated streamer that we would be able to go live in both places, but it does not like me. We were actually able to go live. That's upside down. That's the problem with these. I can't actually, I have a really hard time seeing which way is, there we go, that's better. Which way is up and which way is down. I can feel it, of course, but I can't, I have a hard time seeing it under these lights. So I know you can see that the centers of these are white. It will dry clear. I lost my train of thought because, oh, Mary, exactly. I hope you have a remote. Maybe, you know, you could teach Finn how to be your remote control. He could go or you know what? Maybe Pixie is trainable. I don't know. Right now she's just being a little whiny. It's something about the cameras on that she feels like the camera should be on her. And therefore, little Miss Pixie is being a little bit whiny. All right, so I am going to, and this is the silicone mat. It's good for not sticking things to yourself here or sticking things to your paper. So that's that. And I am going to do it from upside down. I'm hoping I didn't put too much glue on because I tend to be a little bit on the gluey side. I am Team Liquid Glue all the way because Team Liquid Glue is the best for me. See how I did that? Team Liquid Glue is the best for me. Okay, so this is our sample. This is the card we're working on. Okay, and see, now you can see the difference between my sample and the card I'm working on. And so I at least get a little bit of a, yes, Pixie, yes. I really think she thinks that this is about her. And so I don't know if you can hear her, but she is really over here telling me that something's going on. Now, I have to admit, the other day when she was telling me, hey, something's going on, she was right, and I did not listen quickly enough. And so we had to clean up a mess. But we have very senior dogs. Well, yeah, she's 13, right, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 13, and Jesse's not senior, but he's little. They're both little. She's a rat terrier. And so Jesse is 10 and a half. And so I just added liquid glue just to the edges and just adhered it down. Now, you, of course, don't want to put any liquid glue in here. Well, no, Mary. I thought it was all about me, but maybe it's about her. I don't know. You're right. It is about her. This is the Pixie Show. Welcome to the Pixie Show. So now you see that I have this all set up, and I only put glue on the edges so that it did not glue my card shut. Now, some people who plan ahead better than I may have put the backing on before they went ahead and glued the thing to the front, but I did not. And apparently I cut we're going back to the cutting table here. I cut the piece, but I don't know what I did with it. So isn't that always the case? I know for a fact I cut this white piece and it's not here. So you know what? Maybe Pixie stole it. It might be true. Pixie might have stolen it. Okay, so for the white piece, this is just the sentiment, really. So we're almost done, and this is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. Yes, Pixie honey. It's not even like it's dinner time because we only feed them breakfast. They have food for that they can get themselves, but for whatever reason, 3 3/4 by 5. This is why I say it out loud so I remember, which I clearly did not. Okay, so that's that one, and that's just the sentiment panel, and then we're going to have another piece of pebbled path that is going to be that size, that size, 4 by 5 1/4. I understand card math, and I should have just known that, right? 4 by 5 1/4, 4 by 5 1/4. And let you know, it's for me at least, it's always best to check and make sure I actually cut it too close to those dimensions. Some days it's better than others. Okay. All right. So for the back side, we use dun dun dun. Oh, I love this sentiment. This sentiment is from this Encircled in Nature, right? Yep. It's may this year be incredible and filled with possibilities. I think good for birthdays. I think good for graduation. Well, maybe not just a year for graduation, but I mean, there's so many changes that happen after graduation that my son is graduating. I hope, fingers crossed, y'all. If you pray, please, please pray. I understand that he's got 2 400 level math classes that in words that I don't even understand. And so my mother has made her, she has made her plane reservations, and I actually have already purchased the announcements. And then the other day when we went to lunch with him, he said, well, Mom, I told you to wait just a little bit. I thought, oh gosh, please don't tell me it's not happening, because he's a 5-year senior. Okay, so Old Olive, we are going to stamp the tree in Old Olive, but before I do that, I'm going to use this little teeny blending brush, and only little teeny because that's what I happen to just pick up. And I use, if I'm not using the glass mat, and I'm not using the glass mat today because I don't have a Stampin' Up! One, but I do have another brand, which I love. But I love it especially for blending. But if I don't do that, then I just do it on a block. I've also done it on my paper, but just because. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color here. It's that's probably a little bit more color than I probably was thinking of, but you know what? I just kept going because it's fun. It's fun. All right, and that was Mossy Meadow, and ooh, darn it, 6:32. I'm almost done. Okay, and the tree is right here. Normally I mount everything. Again, David says, you're very unprepared tonight. I'm not really unprepared. This is just how I stamp. It's just how I stamp. All right. Okay, so we're going to do this one full strength. And there we go. Yes, Pixie. What's it all about? Pixie. How did I lose that piece of paper already? It's right here. That's how I lost it. All right, so I am, because it's my nature, I'm going to put, this is actually Seal Plus because that's what I have close at hand. I'm going to put some Stampin' Seal Plus on the back of my card. On my sentiment panel, and I'm going to adhere it to the bottom. But see, this is see, I know, Amy, you complain about this sticky fingers, but I'd rather, well, that's not exactly straight, but it sticks too fast. Oh dear, there's more. Wait, were you into the, oh dear. And the Air Force thinking that, David, okay, I'm reading your comment, Mary, but it's too long for me to see the whole thing. Okay, so this, you can't get to, oh, we can't get to it on the TV.
There you go.
I'll read it later. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. Very little pressure. Well, that's the thing is he is a 5th-year senior. He took off, he went to school at a community college for 2 years right after high school. And then when we moved to Texas, he was off for 2 years and, COVID and that stuff. And he finally decided, because he had, the truth of the matter is we moved here and he had no friends, no acquaintances, nobody he knew. And he was literally in his room all the time. And I felt horrible for him because, I was at least going to work most days. We were off a little bit for COVID, but I was at least going to work, and he was not even getting out of his office. Okay, or out of his room. Okay, so that's that. I did forget to do one thing. If you'll see here, I have this little 1/4 inch by 5, I think, strip, and I'm going to put it on this left side. Normally I put it on the right side because that's who I am. I'm very right-handed and very right-headed, apparently. But Pixie, honey, what is wrong with you? But this one, stepping up, getting out of the box. And Mary, these little tweezers are just for you. Just because of you do I have these little tweezers. And I thought that I was doing pretty well with the other tweezers. Having a hard time letting them go there. The ones that come with the embossing tray. But these are really nice because they're so pointy. So yeah. Okay, that's that. Now, we're going to go really fast. Well, so here's the thing. I didn't cut this prior to, but this is of course, the 6-inch by 2 1/4 DSP using liquid glue. Drawing a picture. Sometimes I draw a picture, sometimes it's just that. And so this is this. And we're going to find some paper snips if we can find them. In addition to changing up the lighting and changing the, not changing, but enhancing the program we bought, I moved everything. Basically, take a step to the left, and that's pretty much how that happened. And so nothing is where it was 5 minutes before we went live. So, alrighty then. Whoops. And now see, Mary, you say this is the world's easiest fussy cutting. Clearly, I'm not cut out to do the world's easiest fussy cutting because it is not the easiest fussy cutting for me. I am going to, this last thing, best tweezers ever. You are right. I had a little hard time getting them unhooked, but I'm trying to use them more often, especially when I use glue. Let me clean this. Pixie, honey. I'm almost done, Pixie. Give Mama one more minute, okay? I think the problem actually is, oh, well, we have a pixie hair here. We cannot do that, but look at this, pointy tweezers. I think the problem is actually that Jessie is, okay, so this is Mossy Meadow. That's what I was saying. I was switching it up, and now I'm using Mossy Meadow, and I'm just going to stamp 3 times, only ink once and stamp 3 times. So 1 to the left, and to the right, and voila, everyone, we are done in 37 minutes. So here's the card. This is the one we just made. This is the one I made earlier. The difference is minimal. This one has a lot more white. And then I'll show you the one more thing. And if you would go to my blog and check out my blog, stampwithnell.com, you will find the updated version of the instructions. Here's the one that is Latte Love, Little Love. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it's called. There's too many names in my head. But this is going to be my favorite stamp ever. I don't know if you, yeah. This coffee ring thing, it's going to be my favorite stamp ever. So thank you very much for joining me. If you're on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and get notifications when I post the video after they've been live. One of these days, I'll actually go live on YouTube. We were not even telling people we were going to do it today, and it still didn't happen. So
we will troubleshoot it this week, and hopefully it'll be working next week.
Thank goodness I have a production team. Life is good. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I'll see you over at the next one. I'll see you next week at 6 o'clock Central for another card making class. Thank you. Have a great day. See you next week.